Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome. Welcome to Invisible Condition. It's not all in your head. I'm your host, Jeff Pearson, and we want everybody with an invisible condition, no matter what that condition is, to know beyond the shadow of a doubt, you do have a voice, you have a community, and you are never, ever alone. And here on Invisible Condition, we know life can be tough. Okay, sometimes life is just tough. That's how it works. We also know that there is always hope. And that's also something we operate in around here is the fact that there is always, always hope. And I love that. And that's what keeps me getting out of bed in the morning is hope. And so I want to talk to you before we bring Paul on the show here, our guest for today. I want to talk to you a couple things here. I want to talk to you about our nonprofit. Our nonprofit arm is called Hydro with Hope. And it is to benefit people that have been living with a condition that I was born with. It's called hydrocephalus, and it's something that is, it can be kind of brutal. Not going to lie. One of the commonalities with people with hydrocephalus is we get to have brain surgery quite often. Thankfully, by the grace of God, I have only had 7 brain surgeries to date. 4 of those have been in the last 10 years. And it's been quite a ride around here. And so we created this organization to help other people with hydrocephalus and their families to navigate that crazy process of holy smokes, we're going to have what kind of surgery again? And so we have some resources that we would love to share. And we honestly, the need has gotten bigger than our resources have gotten. And so we are actively seeking potential board members that would like to help us expand our reach and expand our vision. Not our vision. Our vision is plenty big. Expand our reach, expand our effective range of being able to help people with this condition. So if you are interested, if you have ever thought about helping, if you've been watching for a while and you're like, you know what? Yeah, I know somebody that might be able to help. Then let me know by sending me an email at this address right here, and we will be in touch and we can talk to them and see if it's a good fit. Also, if anybody that you know of any company, if you're like, you know what, I know a company that would align with their mission so well, I should get them in touch with somebody with their yes. You'll see commercials on this show that are representative of some amazing organizations. And I would love to talk to more organizations like that would like to get their message out to our amazing audience that have been watching and growing over the last couple of years. And we're so appreciative that you're here. Thank you. And so if you have a message that you want to get to our audience, please email me. Let's set up a time to talk and we'll see what we can do. I'd love to talk to you. So now let's talk about our guest today. Our guest is named Paul Sylvester is who's we're going to be talking to today. And Paul was in a car accident that resulted in some pretty serious neck pain, radiating neck pain. If you've ever been in a car wreck, if you've ever had constant pain like that, it can be brutal. He is now a dedicated virtual physical therapist. That's right. You heard that right. It's when you think of physical therapy, you don't think of it being a virtual thing. What's that about? Is that even an option? Yes, it is. He's a virtual physical therapist and health and wellness coach, and he's committed to helping individuals improve their pain levels and mobility, strength, and overall wellness from anywhere, anytime, virtually, which I think is kind of cool because especially when you're in pain, the last thing you want to do is get in a stinking car and drive somewhere. So with a holistic approach, Paul personalizes rehab and wellness programs to support clients in their recovery, help them prevent injuries, and achieve their health goals. So we're going to talk to him here. Let's bring him on and see what we're going to talk about today. Paul, thank you so much for being here, man. I know it took a minute for us to get here, but we are here. And we had some technical difficulties getting on here today. I don't know what the deal is, but no more. We're all done with that, and we're here. So thank you for being here. Welcome.
Well, we're here. Thanks so much for having me on today, Jeff. I'm glad to be here. and glad we got through some of the technical difficulties too.
Man, I'm telling you, any technology can be your friend or your foe, man. Today, I don't know. I'm jury's still out, so we'll press on and see how it goes. We're gonna get into the accident that caused your neck pain, but first, on the days, I have a question that I ask everybody on the show, regardless of why they're here, and I love hearing the answer. There's no wrong answer. It's always good. And I want to hear what your answer is on this. On the days when it's rough, when you're down, when it's a terrible day, when it's a crazy day, how do you still maintain hope?
Oh man, that's a tough question. How do I maintain hope? It's really something small, like the things that really have me down, I'd say. I try to distance myself away from them and just take a walk and just center myself again and just be grateful for where I am, grateful for where I've come from, and just know that things will feel better in the future. Mm-hmm.
Nice. I love it. I'm telling you, there's no wrong answer. That's a wonderful answer. And it's true, man. It's that attitude of things will be better in the future. Yeah. There was a guest that I had on recently. I think his show aired recently, actually, and I asked him that question. I said, "What about those bad days?" He was talking about his daughter. We were talking about his daughter who lives with a condition, and he said, "My daughter doesn't have bad days. She has bad minutes. She has bad minutes. Why ruin the whole day?" Wow. I was like, man, that's a good idea. She actually said it to him. She's like, "Daddy, I don't have bad days. I only have bad minutes. The rest of the day is okay." I was like, man, that's smart. So, so see, we get some good answers around here. It's good stuff. All right. So let's do it. Take us back to the car accident that kind of rocked your world, man, changed your life a little bit. What happened and how did it impact you?
Yeah, so this was back in 2018. Actually, I remember the day, April 20th, 2018. And so I was about 20, 21, I believe, at the time in college, my third year. Mm-hmm. And at the time I was driving my car going through an intersection. And I'm from New York. And if you're familiar with New York, some other people could drive a little crazy sometimes. Yeah. Just a little bit. And so as I'm driving through the intersection, I didn't have a stop sign. However, someone on the other side, perpendicular, had a stop sign. And instead of stopping, they kind of rolled through. And then they weren't paying attention. And then they ended up speeding up and hitting me. Oh. And so they T-boned me right on my side, right on my driver's door. The car spun around. We got out the car and I checked on the car first. And the funny thing is, when you're young and it's the first time that things happen to you, at least for me, the first thing I thought was, "Oh no, my car." I didn't even think about myself.
Right. My car.
Yeah. I'm like, "No, my first car. No, my baby. I can't believe it." And so the car was totaled. And in a moment, I felt perfectly fine. I was just worried about what's going to happen to the car. But then we called the ambulance just in case, and I started to get a little bit of neck pain, just like a little tinge. But with so much adrenaline just circulating, you don't really feel much pain in the moment, right? And so just to be safe, we called the ambulance. They came, they put a collar around me. They brought me to the hospital. And they did scans and everything and didn't find anything. Didn't find anything based on the x-rays that they took.
Sure.
Based on the subjective complaints I was given, there really weren't any, except just a tiny bit of pain, very minimal. Mm-hmm. And then afterwards, it's like when the days after was when the pain started to increase and increase and increase, to where it would just be painful just to sit up all day, just to sit in my classes or to be looking down at my books, looking down at my laptop. Yeah. It was a bad pain. And then eventually I started to notice like the tingles going down the arm. I always had like this shoulder pain, tingles going down the arm. And I think the thing that stood out to me was that I'd be trying to use my hands to do certain things. So I'd be writing, or I'd be cooking, and things would just slip out of my hand.
Yep.
And I couldn't believe it. And it still seemed like I was healthy physically if you saw me.
Sure.
Still was in great shape and everything, but it was just this pain and then things slipping out of my hand just kind of spontaneously like that. And I remember there was one night where I was with my mom and we were putting together some chairs or a table or something. And I remember I had a screwdriver in my hand and I kept trying to screw these planks or something together, and the screwdriver kept flying out of my hand to the other side of the room.
Jeez.
It happened at least 20 times.
Oh man.
And I'm like, man, what's going on here? This is strange.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
And so eventually I ended up going to like a pain management doctor. At the time I was going to physical therapy and chiropractor as well. And eventually they ordered MRIs. They ordered cervical MRIs on me to check what's going on in the neck. And they found bulging discs, herniated discs, just pretty much all throughout my entire cervical spine for the most part, the majority of my cervical spine. I also had a lot of back pain in that during those years as well, during this time period. And so they also found it throughout my lumbar spine as well, these same issues.
Wow. Wow. So that's a lot, man. That's you. Well, and when you're young, you don't think anything's wrong. And so you don't really, and so I'm glad you did though, because that could have turned out really poorly.
Mm-hmm.
If you ignore that kind of stuff, that could really impact you long term. So I'm glad you,
Right.
Whoever had to strong arm you into going into the hospital, or if you just went, good on you. Because yeah, that kind of stuff can rock your world if you ignore it. So
yeah.
Well done.
Thanks to my mom. She's the one who told me,
nice,
go get checked just in case.
Smart. Mm-hmm. Yeah, moms are smart like that.
They tend to know.
They're pretty smart like that. Man, that's crazy. Well, so just let me. I'm just going to throw this out here. I don't know why I did, but I want to. With a story like this, I just want to throw this out here for everybody. If everybody's been in a car accident, not everybody. I'm glad we're not here to talk about me, because I didn't renew a registration between the ages of 16 and 24 because I crashed so many cars. I've been in so many accidents, it's ridiculous. And some of them were my fault and some of them weren't, but so I can relate to some of that, what you're talking about. It's some crazy stuff. If anybody else can relate, or if anybody has any questions, or like, oh my gosh, Paul, you wouldn't believe it, or I got a question for you. Facebook, YouTube, super easy to comment. So just jump on there and comment on there, and we can get back in touch with you. He can get back in touch with you. And then also, I'm going to put this is going to be on for the majority of the show here. You can connect with Paul, scan the QR code. What are they going to come to when they scan that QR code, by the way?
So when they scan that QR code, they'll end up on a website with my information, a bio about me, and also a link where you can book with me for a free consultation, for a free virtual PT consultation.
Ooh, love that. Virtual PT. I said that in the intro. We're still getting there, guys. Don't worry. We'll get there. We're going to talk about that too, because that's what you're doing now, which is awesome. And I think we'll get to that. I think in the second segment, we're going to talk about what you're doing with that after the break that we'll go to here in just a couple minutes. But I just want to throw this out there. The show is called Invisible Condition, after all. You looked fine, probably, right? Like people saw you walking down the street. You're like, oh yeah, there's nothing wrong with him. But that's not true. You were in pain.
Right. It's not true. At least looking at the surface, it definitely would have looked like everything was fine.
Right.
But definitely some high levels of pain. Just like I mentioned about the tingling down the arms and the shoulders.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure there's with that, I mean, I've, like I said, been in some car wrecks myself, never had the same symptoms as you after one, but I have definitely been through a lot of surgeries, man, and pain from that and pain from recovery and stuff. What are some of and that comes with like emotional and mental things too. I mean, you're not just physically in pain. There are some mental and emotional hurdles that you got to get over, man. What were some of those for you?
Oh man, that's a tough one. For me at that time, and it may have been a little bit different because I was in school with the goal of becoming a physical therapist, right? So some of this wasn't necessarily completely foreign to me, the idea of having this pain. But despite that, I'm still human, so I still felt all the emotional, I guess, baggage you could say behind it. And so there were times where I was nervous to do things with my hands.
Sure.
There were times when I was very active prior, involved in the gym a lot and working out and doing outdoor activities. And there were times where a friend would invite me to work out with them, and I was nervous.
Sure.
I was nervous. My self-esteem kind of dropped. Just worried that, despite the fact that I look fine, potentially, right, I can't work out the same. Or I knew I couldn't because of the pain.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it definitely made me feel a little less than I felt before.
Yeah, I'm sure. It can do that, man. With physical injuries, man, it can work you over, man. And especially if you're active, and you start to play tricks on your mind and all kinds of stuff. So I totally, it
starts to kind of meddle in and it started to meddle in kind of my social interactions a little bit.
Sure.
Because someone would say, "Oh, well, Paul, why don't we try this, or try this, let's say this exercise?" And I would have to explain, "No, I can't. I'm in pain right now. My neck hurts, or my arm hurts. I can't right now."
Yeah. And
of course, physically, and everything looks fine. It's hard to see it on the surface, and so people would start to look at you, right? Like, oh, maybe like you're lying, you're making up excuses, you just don't want to, right? And so constant little small interactions like that started to weigh on me too a little bit.
Yeah, I bet. I bet. Yeah, it's true, man. It can just the little stuff. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, man, there is more to this story, everybody. We got more to come. So do not go anywhere and scan this QR code. I'm going to have this up here for the majority of the show. So I'm going to take it down now, though. There it goes. Here it goes. Okay, there it is. It's gone. It'll be back at the second segment, though. Don't worry. We'll bring it back. Stick around, though. We're going to be talking about ergonomics. We're going to be talking about all kinds of stuff with his virtual physical therapy. We're going to be covering a lot more in the second segment. So stick around. Do not go anywhere, and we'll see you in just a couple of minutes. I'd love to talk to you a little bit about our sponsor, Dunamis Marriages. And now, struggling marriages often lead to a dramatic sense of disconnection from your spouse that can seem suffocating. Even if your marriage is doing pretty well, there is a way for you to thrive no matter what. Dunamis Marriages believes that God designed marriage to be a lifelong, heart-connected journey. And they're here to help you get there at Dunamis Marriages. Located in Colorado Springs, Colorado, their faith-based marriage intensive has an 83% success rate. I'm going to say that again. 83% success rate. Guiding couples through deep emotional healing and lasting transformation. Why is that important? Because most marriage counseling has a less than 10% success rate, leaving broken hearts and marriages in its wake. Led by Dr. Pauline Dillard, who brings over 42 years of marital wisdom, these marriage intensives are different. typical marriage counseling is more of a once a week for an hour type of thing that can last for years and really end up getting you nowhere. The intensive model that Dr. Pauline uses brings couples together. Each session lasts about 2 to 3 hours and is conducted over 5 to 6 sessions. The time that you invest in a marriage intensive will combine biblical truth with proven psychological principles to restore communication, trust, and intimacy. At Dunamis Marriages, they don't just treat symptoms, they equip you with the tools to build a thriving, Christ-centered marriage. If you're ready to break free from frustration and rekindle your relationship God's way, act now. Visit DunamisMarriages.com today. That's DUNAMAS marriages.com. And take that first step toward a stronger, more fulfilling marriage. Build your marriage on a solid foundation and enjoy your spouse like you never thought possible.
Are you a change agent? You're going to love the Superpowers for Good show. I'm Devin Thorpe. Every Tuesday and Thursday morning at 11 Eastern, I host an inspiring change maker on Achieve TV. Join us right here on E360 TV.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Thank you, Paul, for being here again. This is good, man. This is good stuff. And we got to get these stories out there because there is always hope, man. You just gotta roll with it sometimes, and you're doing it. So, just out of curiosity, so at what point? So, if you didn't catch the first segment, go back and watch the first segment. It was good, but at what point did you decide to take your pain and experience and kind of turn it into something to help others instead of something that's going to just drag you down?
At what point? I think there came a point where I was tired of dealing with the pain. And I felt that the treatment that I was personally getting at the time, helped with the symptoms, but it didn't help really long term with anything that I was doing. So I was receiving certain injections in the neck. I was receiving the chiropractic adjustments and like the physical therapy biomodalities, so the heat, the ice, the stimulation. Even did a little bit of acupuncture, but nothing really gave me like any long-term relief. And so I started doing some of the things that I would learn in my program, that like basic strengthening around the musculature. Mm-hmm. And so after that started to help me and it started to give me some proper long-term relief, I decided that this is the route that I should be taking in order to give other people that are going through something similar, help them with their relief, help them with these pains that they're dealing with. Mm-hmm.
Nice. Yeah. And what, so everybody knows what physical therapy is. Everybody either has been through it at some point in their life or knows somebody who has. I mean, physical therapy is pretty common, pretty commonplace. Why virtual? Why, like, I love that. Like, that's awesome. Why virtual? And is it effective to do virtual physical therapy? It almost sounds like an oxymoron. Virtual physical therapy. You know?
Right. So to talk about why I decided to go virtual, I kind of have to go back into, I guess, my career as a PT. So I'm glad we got a little bit of time. So it's a long story.
Oh, we got time, man. Go for it.
Okay, perfect. So when I started as a physical therapist, I actually started as a travel physical therapist. And so for those that aren't aware, travel physical therapy is similar like there's other types of like healthcare workers that work in this travel space as well. So typically what happens is that there's a high demand for a certain service in an area, let's say physical therapy, but there aren't the practitioners to meet that demand, to help with access to care in that region.
Okay.
And so the owners would contract a physical therapist to come to that area, to come to work in that clinic for a short amount of time. Typically, the standard is about 13 weeks, 13 or 26 weeks. And they give you a stipend or like a check in order to help pay for the rent that you'll be paying there. And then of course pay you for your work that you're doing there. And then afterwards you have the right, or you have usually the option to continue there or to move to another area and do that same line of work, helping another region. Right. And so that's what I did for about a year and a half. And so I've worked in the Atlanta region. I've went to Wisconsin. I've went to Northern California. I've worked in New Jersey, and I've worked in Florida as a travel therapist. And so in a lot of these places that I went to, I kind of seen the same recurring issue,
Sure.
which is trouble with access to care. And so what I've seen in a lot of these clinics that I went to, there were these really long wait lists just to be seen. There were wait lists of, one place had a 6-month wait list to be seen by PT. I couldn't believe, when I heard that, it broke my heart. It broke my heart. Another place had a 4-month wait list. And the good thing is that being in these locations, at least I was able to help get that time down. But regardless, a 4 or 6 month wait list, or even a 2-month wait list, also is a really long time.
Yeah.
So,
when you're hurting, when you need physical therapy, you need physical therapy. If it's an injury that could have long-term consequences and you don't get that physical therapy that you need. I mean, I had somebody on the show that didn't even know, didn't know that their, I'm trying to remember if it was their leg or their hip or something was like broken, but it wasn't broken in a way that it was obvious. It just kind of hurt, And so they just stalled. They didn't get the help they needed for several months. And by the time they got the help, it was almost like it was so much more work to rehab that back because they had let that injury go for so long. So for something to not even be able to get an appointment for 6 months, that's insane. Is that pretty typical? Like, is that typical in the physical therapy world to not be able to get in to see a physical therapist for that long?
I don't know if that's the typical in all places.
I hope not.
But at least in my experience, the 6 month was the most extreme.
Yeah, I'm glad it's extreme. I'm glad that's extreme and it's not typical, because that would be a long stinking time to go see for an injury. Yikes. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Working in the tri-state area, I've been at some places where you can get an appointment next day.
Good. Yeah. That makes more sense.
However, in my travels, it seemed to have been quite the opposite.
Man.
So,
and when you say tri-state area, where are you?
Sorry. So speaking of New York and New Jersey.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. That's what I thought, but not everybody,
Right. I have to specify.
I mean, those from there, tri-state area. Oh yeah. But us out in the West, we don't always know what you're talking about when you talk about the tri-state area. All right, cool. All right, sorry, keep going.
So seeing that issue just kind of broke my heart. The fact that patients would have to wait for so long just to be seen. I actually had one patient. He was put on a wait list, I think 3 months. He was 3 months into his wait list time. And when I got to this clinic, I asked the front desk that if I have any cancellations, just call up some of the evaluations and bring them in so they don't have to wait as long.
Right.
And so one young guy, he was about 28, I think. Had a bad accident where he was lifting up something at work as a mechanic and was basically on bed rest for about 4 months because he couldn't do anything.
Ugh.
And so he's been waiting to be seen by a PT for 3 months of that time. It was so bad, his parents found it better to have scheduled an appointment and a flight to go to India.
What?
For him to go to India, get it checked, and come back before he would have been seen for that original time.
Oh my gosh.
And that broke that, to just think that the best option for him and his family, they thought, was to go halfway across the world, go across the world for treatment. And it's like, man, that broke my heart. And so seeing that, and then we talked about those mental effects of like dealing with pain, the psychological aspects, and to see what he went through, and to see the emotional toll that it had on him as a young 28-year-old guy who was really fit. He lost, I think, like 20 pounds or something just from being on bed rest for so long, feeling incapable of so much, and it's feeling almost like abandoned.
Yes.
Feeling almost abandoned for 3 months while he had to sit and wait.
Right. Abandoned by the industry that is there specifically to help you.
Right.
Yeah.
And so just the fact that he was able to get in early, he was so highly appreciative. Just the fact that he was able to have someone look at him and give some extra insight to what may be going on and the potential that he has to have improvement. And by the time he left out, just that alone made him feel a lot better.
Yeah, no, I bet. I mean, that the mental energy that you devote to I mean, the mental anguish of not being able to get in to see somebody for care that you need is almost equally as damaging as the physical.
Right.
And so, yeah, to be able to, and so that's why I love what you're doing, because there is no wait. Virtual.
Mm-hmm.
You need help? Virtual.
Exactly. Right. And to add on to that, there's also another reason why I decided to go virtual, is that something else that I've seen as a pattern in every place that I've worked at so far is that there's a group of individuals that have a really hard time just being able to make it into the clinic because of their availability versus the clinic's availability, which just so happens to be like the working individual. Right. The person that works from 9 to 5 or 8 to 6, whatever the case is, and they have kids that they have to pick up afterwards. They work an hour away, and so they won't be able to work. They won't be able to make it in at the same time that the clinic hours, the available clinic hours, which is a sad barrier to access to care, in my opinion. Right.
So, you're not wrong. I totally agree, man. Some of those hours are absolutely, it's like for people that do work during the day and have that set schedule, man, it's almost impossible without taking time off to work to do all that. And I don't want to I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus, and understand everybody. I wouldn't be here if it weren't for good medical professionals and good, I have the utmost respect for that whole industry, that whole operation of medical professionals and physical therapy and all the things. It's just you saw a better way, right? It's like here, right. we need to improve this because we need to focus on patient care and not, just staying open for a certain number of hours, because it's hard to get in there for those hours without kind of almost turning your world upside down. So the virtual aspect is just awesome. Love that.
Right. It's very hard to get in there at those hours. And from the perspective of maybe the healthcare worker, we also have our own families.
Yep.
We have our own families, our own life to live as well. But I'm willing, working virtually, I don't have to open up a brick and mortar. I'm more than a brick and mortar.
That's the best part, right? Oh,
Right.
yeah.
I'm more than happy to be flexible with my schedule and offer an 8 o'clock an 8 p.m. opening for someone that needs it, if that's what works with their schedule, and they can perform their physical therapy from the comfort of their home.
Yeah. That's unheard of in regular medical anything, whether it's physical therapy or whatever. Like, I know there's probably places that are open maybe on Saturdays, maybe till 6 or 7 or whatever, but and they're trying. They're working on it. Like they're doing the best they can within the system that they find themselves,
Right.
And so I love that you are expanding that and opening it up for people. So okay, have you seen a pretty good response to that, to the virtual? I mean, are people responding well?
I think people are responding pretty well. And also, to follow up on the other question, the second part of your question that you asked about, does it work? So I actually found that there's a large amount of people that prefer the virtual therapy. There's some that maybe aren't aware of how it can work. But there's a lot of people that love the concept of it. And so the concept of it alone attracts a lot of people to it.
Yeah.
And then they see that they get the same results. They get the same results, or even a little bit better, working virtually.
Yeah.
Than in person. Mm-hmm.
I would imagine, yeah, because if you, I mean, I've had to go to those appointments too. And if you take the time out of your day, you got to take the time off work if you got that kind of schedule, and then you got to get in the car and drive as long as you need to get to the clinic, and then they work you over at the clinic and do the physical therapy, right? And then you got to ride home, and then you got to so the time is a factor. But if your injury is such that it's hard for you to sit for very long, that right there almost kills the possibility of you even being able to get somewhere to do it. So this answers that question, right? That's a need that you're filling right there.
Right. And the beauty of it too is that a lot of times people are coming in for issues that they're having in their day-to-day life, right? And now I'm able to get into their personal, be in their zone, in their world to some degree. And if they're telling me they're having trouble at their desk or at their car, we can do a call right from their car, or they can send me pictures right from their car. Or if it's something that when they sit on their couch, whatever the case, we're able to go to that if they feel comfortable.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's awesome, because people feel more comfortable in their home than they do in any office. I mean, you're going to get more response, more answers, more, higher comfort level talking to somebody from the comfort of their own recliner, right? than having to drag them into some office, So yeah, that's a nice little added perk. It's nice.
Right. And I will admit that for some, there is a little bit of a different context looking at a screen rather than directly in front of people. But I offer when I do my virtual PT, everything is one-on-one. So there is no divided attention, right? And still spending a lot of time with my patients, everyone that comes in.
Right.
So
and you can spend more time with them because there's no travel time, right? You can spend that time. Yeah. Yeah. I love that. That's amazing. Well, I tell you what, man, we got to go to one more break. We're going to go to one more break, but I want to talk a little more on the other side about kind of how this all works, success stories, maybe how to connect with you again. I want to tell you how it went at our place. Paul and I had an appointment, and he was looking at my workspace, which I'm feeling kind of guilty right now because I haven't done as much as he told me I needed to do. So I know. So, all right. So we're going to get to that on the other side of the break, but stick around, don't go anywhere, and we'll see you soon.
Tired of losing cell service in dead zones? Concerned about connectivity in emergencies? There is now an answer. Introducing the Love Pod. The world's first affordable encrypted global internet Wi-Fi hotspot connects with multiple service carrier networks and is satellite assisted when no service carrier networks are available. So it works virtually anytime, anywhere. Connect up to 9 devices, like our cell phone, laptop, desktop, TV, security cam, and more. Stream, chat, text, download, and make phone calls, all with no roaming fees. With mesh capability, the Love Pods will grow in strength and speed with each new pod activated to create a private terrestrial-based intranet called Love Global Network. The Love Pods are dual blockchain encrypted with Love's proprietary 2048-bit cube chain encryption, giving you the ultimate protection in data privacy and security against digital attacks and hacks to your devices. You are no longer tracked, and your data is never sold. Get the Love Pod, your private, encrypted, portable global internet Wi-Fi hotspot, and stay safe and stay connected.
Hey everybody, Craig Tomanini here, founder and CEO of Ask Craig T, and I wanted to do a quick reminder about our podcast every Friday, 9 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. You can find us on YouTube and on all of our social media platforms, so be sure you tune in. Don't miss all the valuable information we're going to give you about how to scale your business using technology.
Hey there. You know, every time someone comes into your business or website and uses their card to pay, a percentage of that gets folded back into the system. But it can go to Hydro with Hope instead. If you'd like your business to support us rather than feed back into the system, scan the QR code and we'll show you how to do that while saving your business money.
Hi, I'm Jake, co-founder and CEO of One Hope. My friends and I started this company in 2007 out of the back of this truck on a mission to enrich people's lives through wine. Today, we've grown into a state-of-the-art Napa Valley winery that proudly houses a portfolio of award-winning wines which have touched lives through over 40,000 nonprofits at home and around the globe. And it's happening every day. Being rooted in local communities and contributing to initiatives that uplift neighborhoods, celebrate cultures, and promote community. It's what got us here. You see, through every bottle sold, your purchase can make a direct impact on the causes you care about. One Hope's cause of choice has given back over $10 million and counting.
Hi everyone, I'm Andy.
And I'm Minna.
We're the hosts of Chronically Healthy Life.
Join us Fridays at 7 p.m. Central Time on Vitality TV to see how we flip the idea of chronic on its head and create chronic health in our bodies, minds, finances, and relationships right here on E360 TV.
All right, welcome back, everybody. And I kind of made a confession before the break here. Paul and I have worked together a little bit, and he was looking at by the way, we're in the new place now, so we're in a little bit different space, which means we need to reevaluate a little bit. But he was looking at my office setup, my recording setup here, and there was a couple things that he said I needed to change, and I haven't changed it yet. Don't tell anybody. It's been a little bit interesting moving. We moved into the new place a couple of weeks ago, and it's been a little hectic. So I haven't forgotten about it. But tell people about what you were doing with me and what they can expect. I mean, you did such. It was so cool, and it was so easy. Like it was just like, oh yeah. Here's what you could do here. Here's what you can do there. It was, so talk about that a little bit. See if anybody, there's probably other people out there that are in a similar situation.
Right. So one of the services that I offer in my virtual PT business is ergonomic assessments and solutions for workspaces. And so, of course, working from home or working at an office, right, we have to have things that are optimized for our bodies and for our health, or else we can have some deterioration or just non-optimal performance as we're working. We can have things that lead to certain pains, aches, right? Lead to poor posture. And so I had the opportunity of working with Jeff here. Jeff, thanks for letting me work with you on your ergonomics, on your workspace. And basically I gave him an assessment on what I saw on his workspace, his desk setup, his office chair, the posturing that he had or that he uses while working. And from there was able to come up with some solutions and some recommendations on things that he can improve on. And I try to make things as economical as possible, right? There's always different levels of solutions you can have. You can basically tear down an entire room and rebuild it to work for you, or you can just add in a couple attachments to your desk, right? Or to your chair, or whatever the case is. And so those are what I worked with on with Jeff. And we're gonna have to have a conversation about implementing some of those things soon.
Yeah.
But congratulations on moving into the new place.
Thanks, man. Yeah, we got it set up. We just now we gotta implement some of the stuff that you told me to do, and then we'll be all set. So
okay.
Yeah. So I'm working on it. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten. So yes, I think what would help is if we scheduled a time on the calendar, and then I'll have a deadline. Okay, I got to get my button gear and get this stuff in here before we meet with them. Otherwise, I'm going to be in trouble. So, but it's good though, because I mean, anybody, there's so many people that are working from home now after 2020. It's, everybody went home for a while, and some of us went back and some of us didn't, and my wife never went back to an office. She's been working from home for 5 years, and she's very well set up ergonomically, and I know I'm not. So I know mine could be better. So that was part of the reason that we were talking, and I do appreciate what you suggested, and I can't wait to get it all in here so we, so it can all be correct. So, and I know there's a lot of people out there that are feeling the same thing. I'm sure they're like, oh my gosh, I'm in so much pain by the end of the day. Why is that? What am I doing wrong? Do I have the wrong chair? Do I have the wrong desk? So that's another really cool thing. And I'm sure that probably stems from what you went through too, right? I mean, you have an acute awareness of what pain in your body from your injury that I'm sure just fuels you in what you're doing,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And to add on to what you said too about it being so common and so many people are working from home now since the pandemic. And the sad thing is that so many people think that they have to deal with whatever aches and pains by the end of the day, or think that it's inevitable, or that it's just something that we should just kind of deal with. But that's not the case. It's not the case. Nope. It's not normal, and it's not something that we should have to deal with.
That's right. That's right. So in the last, we got about, I don't know, three-ish minutes left. I know we're almost done. It's time flies when you're having fun. And we're almost there. What would you like? You've got about 3 minutes. What would you like to leave with our audience? Here's how to reach me, or like any kind of parting wisdom for the audience. So you can reach me there at the QR code that Jeff had posted up. You can feel free to book a free virtual physical therapy consultation with me. You can also reach me at Instagram at Paul Sylvester PT as well, and DM me if you have any questions. Love that. And we have that information on, should be right there at the bottom of the page here as you're watching on YouTube and Facebook and E360 as well. Actually, in the notes on the episode, there's a description of the episode, and then there's the social media. So you should be able to access his social media from there. And so, and that's yet another place you can reach out to him on his personal accounts, you know what I'm saying, on his accounts on the social media. So if you had like a minute to tell somebody, if somebody came to you and you knew that they were having pain, like you said, people think it's inevitable now, but it doesn't have to be. What would be the first thing you would tell them about to give them hope in this?
The first piece of advice I would give someone that's having pain, you said, that's come to me, that's having pain, I would tell them, that, there's a lot of things that we put value to, and your health is one of the most valuable things that we can add a value to.
Yeah.
And so even if you're dealing with some aches, some pain, some limitations, don't lose hope. Keep on looking for a solution.
Yeah.
And you will find one.
Yeah. Well, I think we just presented one. I'm pretty sure people should just get in touch with you. I mean, virtual physical therapy. There's no the excuses are gone, guys. The excuses are gone. Oh, I can't get to the office. Oh, it's too far away. It's right in your own home, man. You just gotta have the right connection. And here he is, right here. So
right. There's
your connection. So Paul, man, thank you for being here and for taking the time and for telling your story and for just sharing and for helping the people that you help. It's got to be a godsend for those that you're helping. So thank you so much for being here, man.
Jeff, thank you for having me. Thank you for allowing me to speak with the audience and speak with you about my story and what I do.
Absolutely, man. 100%. My pleasure. And stick around so we can chat after the show. And yeah, just thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. Man, see, you learn something new every show. I shouldn't say you do. I do. There's always something. And like, I didn't even know that things were going on. I mean, I knew that I was, that my neck hurt a little bit or my shoulders or my back or whatever at the end of the day, but he had some really simple stuff that he was telling me about that. I mean, get in touch with him. Seriously. Here's the QR code again. Just get in touch with him and have that consult because it's awesome. All right, there it goes. Thank you for being here, everybody. Seriously, it's always awesome to have you here, and I so appreciate you being here and watching and being with me for today's show. If you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, thank you for being here. And if you're watching on E360, thank you for being here. And if you're new, we're so glad you're here. And if you've been watching this whole time and you've been with us the whole, we've been on the air over 2 years. And I'm so thankful that we've crossed that mark. And I feel like we're still just getting started. But if you are one that's been with us a long time, thank you so much. We love and appreciate all of you. And, make sure to subscribe on the YouTube channel so it reminds you when the next show is and so you can see the next amazing story and join us for our next show, which will be on Tuesday, May 13th at 9 Pacific, noon Eastern. And until then, have an amazing day and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you.